Welcome to the Sunday Painter. Please click and subscribe, hit the like button and don't forget the little bell so you will be the first when we have an inspirational idea. Leave a happy creative comment.
The Starry Night, a moderately abstract landscape painting, 1889, of an expressive night sky over a small hillside village, one of Dutch artist Vincent van Gogh's most celebrated works. Vincent van Gogh painted Starry Night during his stay at the Asylum of St. Paul de Mausolée near St. Remy de Provence. Van Gogh lived well in the hospital, he was allowed more freedoms than any of the other patients. Unfortunately, he relapsed. He began to suffer hallucination and have thoughts of suicide as he plunged into depression. Accordingly, there was a tonal shift in his work. He returned to incorporating the darker colors from the beginning of his career, and Starry Night is a wonderful example of that shift. Blue dominates the painting, blending hills into the sky. The little village lays at the base in the painting in browns, grays, and blues. Even though each building is clearly outlined in black, the yellow and white of the stars and the moon stand out against the sky, drawing the eyes to the sky. They are the big attention grabber of the painting. Notice the brush strokes. For the sky they swirl, each dab of color rolling with the clouds around the stars and moon. On the cypress tree they bend with the curve of the branches. The whole effect is ethereal and dreamlike. The hills easily roll down into the little village below. In contrast, the town is straight up and down, done with rigid lines that interrupt the flow of the brush strokes. Tiny little trees soften the inflexibility of the town, bringing nature into the unnaturalness of buildings. One of the biggest points of interest about this painting is that it came entirely from Van Gogh's imagination. None of the scenery matches the area surrounding St. Paul or the view from his window. Despite the large number of letters Van Gogh wrote, he said very little about the Starry Night. After reporting that he had painted a starry sky in June, Van Gogh next mentioned the painting in a letter to Theo on or about September 20, 1889, when he included it in a list of paintings he was sending to his brother in Paris, referring to it as a night study. Of this list of paintings, he wrote, "All in all, the only things I consider a little good in it are the wheat field, the mountain, the orchard, the olive trees with the blue hills and the portrait and the entrance to the quarry, and the rest says nothing to me." The rest would include the Starry Night. When he decided to hold back 3 paintings from this batch in order to save money on postage, the Starry Night was one of the paintings he didn't send. Finally, in a letter to painter Émile Bernard from late November 1889, Van Gogh referred to the painting as a failure. The Starry Night is the only nocturne in the series of views from his bedroom window. In early June, Vincent wrote to Theo, "This morning I saw the countryside from my window a long time before sunrise with nothing but the morning star, which looked very big." Researchers have determined that Venus was indeed visible at dawn in Provence in the spring of 1889, and was at that time nearly as bright as possible. So the brightest star in the painting, just to the viewer's right of the cypress tree, is actually Venus. The moon is stylized, as astronomical records indicate that it actually was waning gibbous at the time Van Gogh painted the picture, and even if the phase of the moon had been its waning crescent at the time, Van Gogh's moon would not have been astronomically correct. Art historian Sven Loevgren expands on Shapiro's approach, again calling the Starry Night a visionary painting which was conceived in a state of great agitation. He writes of the hallucinatory character of the painting and its violently expressive form, although he takes pains to note that the painting was not executed during one of Van Gogh's incapacitating breakdowns. Loevgren compares Van Gogh's religiously inclined longing for the beyond to the poetry of Walt Whitman. He calls the Starry Night an infinitely expressive picture which symbolizes the final absorption of the artist by the cosmos and which gives a never-to-be-forgotten sensation of standing on the threshold of eternity.